Hey guys, thanks so much and welcome to the Game Your Future podcast. I'm Daniel, and here at Game Your Future, we're all about helping gamers realize their full potential. And a lot of the times it's through video games, sometimes it's through tabletops. And I have a special guest for you guys today. This is Christian Nommay, who is a tabletop RPG creator and a transmedia storyteller. So, Christian, thank you so much and welcome. How are you?
Hi, I'm good, and you?
Very
Thanks
good.
for
Thank you
having
so
me.
much. No, thank you for being here. And so, being a tabletop game creator sounds like really cool, really interesting. That what you do, and we said you're also a transmedia storyteller. So, tell us what that means exactly for the audience at home.
Well, transmedia is a way to tell stories across different media. You can have, for example, a tabletop RPG, like in my case, and have comic books or novels or even video games tied in the same universe, but telling different stories.
Okay,
So it's
got it.
not like multimedia where you retell the same story over and over. In transmedia, it's always different stories but tied in together with the same universe, same characters.
Yep, got it. And actually, Christian, I really apologize. It looked like the recording didn't start until like
Oh,
halfway through the intro, so I
okay.
apologize. It was. Would you mind if we retook it from the
No
beginning?
problem at all.
Okay, I'm sorry about that. I don't know what
Eh,
happened there. Okay. Yeah, apologies.
don't mention it.
Okay. Okay. So sorry about that. All right, we'll do it here again. Hey guys, thank you so much and welcome to the Game Your Future podcast. I'm Daniel, and here at Game Your Future, we're all about helping gamers realize their full potential. And a lot of times we do that with video games, sometimes we do it with tabletop games. And for that reason, we have a very special guest for you guys today. This is Christian Nommay, and Christian is a tabletop RPG creator as well as a transmedia storyteller. So, Christian, thank you so much and welcome. How are you?
I'm fine. Thank you. Thanks for having me here.
Yeah, absolutely. And thank you for being here. And so, being a tabletop creator sounds really cool, sounds really interesting, as well as a transmedia storyteller. But for the audience at home, what exactly does that mean? What is a transmedia storyteller?
Well, transmedia is a way to tell a general story across different medium. For example, you can take the Matrix movie, a trilogy, where there was the Animatrix, a series of animated shorts, even a video game and comic books, and they were all tied together, telling different stories with some same characters or new characters, but in the same universe, using the same themes.
Okay. And by transmedia, do we also mean like across different media types, right? Because when
Yeah,
I think
so
about, I was gonna
yeah,
say,
it can
because
be it can be animation, video games,
yeah.
or whatever you want.
So something like I know in like the recent years, right? We've had the whole the Marvel and the whole the MCU, right? Where it's just like
Hmm.
a lot of different stories across various whether it's movies and TV. And yeah, I want to assume that the like, what you're talking about too is like so you could have like kind of that kind of aspect of it where it's just like a whole bunch of different media that all ties into the same universe. But you're also talking about going beyond just movies or TV, but also whether like you say into games or I
It
guess
can be
even comic books or any.
exactly.
Okay, so it's all kind of connected. So that's really cool.
Yeah.
So is that something that you weave into your tabletop creation?
Yes. In fact, the tabletop RPG that I created, Titan Effect, which is an espionage and sci-fi RPG, at origin it was supposed to be a comic book.
Hmm.
So and it didn't work for different reasons, and so I decided to take all the stuff that I made for the comic book and turn it into a tabletop RPG. But always with the goal to expand it further with different media.
Okay, so taking it from comic book to tabletop RPG, and then so I've heard that there's I guess additional aspects of it, right?
Yeah.
Of Titan Effect now. So as an example for Titan Effect, so beyond just the tabletop RPG that people can play, so it sounds like there's a comic book. What else is there that helps out?
There's a series of audio interactive stories made by Reality, which is a German company who has made an application called Twist Tales. So you can, it's the same thing like choose your own adventure, but it's on audio format. So you don't
Oh.
have to read a book or don't have to turn any pages. It's you hear what's happening and then you use your voice to tell what your character will do next.
Oh, that's really cool. So it's an interactive audio story because
Yeah.
I've definitely grown up with those like the choose your own adventure books. I do remember those, right? Flip to this page if you make this choice. So giving that so as part of the reader, I think that's really cool and interesting. But doing it in audio form, I don't know if I've heard anybody doing that. I guess is that kind of a newer format? Is that something maybe I've
It's kind
missed?
of new, but I don't know anyone else who's doing it like that. But it's cool and do a lot of collaboration with creators like myself to bring their stories into audio interactive stories and do something cool with it.
Yeah, that does sound really cool. So taking your Titan effect and making it this kind of interactive choose your own adventure story sounds sounds really cool. And is that so for those that want to do the tabletop RPG, is it the same story or is it I guess a different story or it's just set in the same universe? Like how does that
It's
work
different
exactly?
stories, but set in the same universe.
Okay, got it. So one of those things that kind of helps maybe with like world building or understanding kind of the
E-
broader aspect of what is the world of Titan Effect.
exactly.
Okay. Very cool. So how did something like about come about like that? Because one of the things that I know that I've gotten questions on too when having some of the guests is creating a tabletop RPG sounds immense. It sounds like a lot of work. And then taking
It
something like
is.
what you're yeah, so and then taking with something what you're trying to do, right? And making it this more transmedia where there's like additional aspects of it, like sounds like even more monumental work on top of that. Right. So how do you go about kind of tackling something like that? So what's kind of your process or how does this work, right, to create something that of that scale?
Well, I think the great part about tabletop RPG is that there's some kind of natural transmedia Bible because you have all your universe, the background, the characters, the bestiary, if you're doing some sort of a fantasy RPG. So you have all that already in the main book and all the other source books or adventures. So after that, it's just a matter of finding the right story to tell and using the right medium. But you have all your universe, everything you need to build these stories on different media.
Okay, well, that's really good. So the source books is I like that analogy. It's kind of your the world Bible, if you will. So every
Exactly.
you can go back to that.
And the best example I can give is the first Star Wars RPG made by Western Games
Hmm.
that had amazing material. There were great source books and campaign books, and it was very well written, and it was used as a base for the expanded universe. A lot of
Oh.
RPG comic book creators and novelists, like for Timothy Zahn, when he wrote the Throne trilogy, he used the Star Wars RPG to for his world building for his novels.
Oh, that's really cool. I did not know that. I knew a lot about the expanded universe as far as look goes. Haven't read much of it myself, but knowing that they all go back to kind of the source book for kind of the rules of the
Yeah.
universe is okay. That's really cool. That's really interesting. So I assume that that's also kind of like what's happened maybe with like kind of the Dungeons and Dragons mentality, like the D&D stuff, where
Oh,
you
definitely.
because I know everybody has like their version of it or as like like a homebrew thing, which is one thing. But now you have like media, right? You have like
Hmm.
the stuff that you can see, just like the TV shows that are based on it, as well as like other video games, right? You have like I know what Baldur's Gate is one of the big ones, right? As well as I don't know if you've heard of Solasta. Uh,
Yes.
yep, it was also based on like the 5e kind of system, right? And so it's just so much around that kind of world and world building. So is that so I guess the question is how far I'm kind of curious, like how far would you take it, right? As far as the like taking Titan effect as kind of an example to say like, okay, now I have a role-playing game, I have a comic book, I have an interactive audio book, a choose your own adventure audio. Uh, I guess what's even next for you? Like how big does this get?
Well, how big can it get? It almost was as big to become an animated series.
Really?
I worked for more than 3 years with a Hollywood director and screenwriter, and we tried to get this off the ground. It was based on a story that I wrote. I had a whole pitch bible to pitch it to studios and execs, and we had all different meetings. We're even with a production company in Montreal, we're very close to sign a development deal with an Emmy Award showrunner, work with Guillermo del Toro. So, but it didn't work at the end because the company we're trying to work with was trying to screw us and take everything for themselves and then toss us away. So I had to cancel that deal at the last moment, and since then we've been trying to get this off the ground, but it's a slow process, often frustrating.
Mm,
In fact, having worked 3 years like that on this project, it gave me really a good hint about how movie and TV shows were made, especially in Hollywood. And every movie you see, whether it's good or bad, it's like a miracle because there's so many things that can go wrong during the production process. It's almost a nightmare.
wow. So I'm sure people will be interested to know and hear a little bit more about that as far as like, so if how would you even, approach like executives on that? Because so much that I think to dive into as far as the Hollywood aspect of it, because, having worked with or at least, pitched to and have meetings with these kind of Hollywood either execs or director showrunners. What is it that I guess that worked? You said like you got close, and unfortunate for you. Feel sorry that it didn't work out because of the one company
Thanks.
trying to screw you. But it sounds like they were interested in it.
Yeah.
So for somebody that wanted to potentially go down this path and actually like try to make something like really cool, creative, interesting that they could show to a Hollywood exec, like what would you do? Like how would you, yeah, how would you, I guess, kind of coach them, if you will, to say like this is what you need to think about.
Mm. It comes to two main things. First, it's the connections. You need to know people, and it can be really simple. For example, last year I was made in con I had a contact with an actor who has his own network of actors, and we I pitched him the project. He was very interested and show it to other fellow actors. We're all excited by the project, but it's not only the connections, also having the right no the right story, the right and also one of the sad truths is these days it's like the worst moment to pitch anything new in Hollywood because now they only take that you know they didn't take a lot of risks the last past years, but now it's if you don't have any leverage, meaning you need to have an already built audience, you
Mm.
know, and not just a few thousands people. You need, half a million people following you or reading your stuff. And the more leverage you have, the better chance you have to get this project done. But it's a slow process, and it can be like I said earlier, very frustrating.
Wow.
So
So what you're talking about is like you're really building the audience first, right? So as
yeah,
a, I think kind of lends itself to what you're saying as far as like kind of the transmedia, right? Starting with a source book and creating these additional assets, these additional ways to enjoy the world, and then taking that and say like, hey, I've built an audience that likes this source material, and then being able to take that to the next level with like say either movie or show uh, based on a
exactly.
specific story. Okay. Wow, that's really really interesting because I know there's a lot of people like myself that would be like, hey, how do I do something like that? Because that sounds really cool. So, and of course, and I've heard the adage too, like it's sometimes it's who you know, right? So having those connections, I know really helps. But I think what you said was really encouraging, right? To say like it doesn't have to be like, oh, you have to be buddy or best friends with like the director to to be
Yeah,
able to pitch something, right? You're saying even just, having an acquaintance that's an actor that has his network that he can, so like it kind of these degrees of separation, they're not as like that, they're not as much barriers as people seem to think they are,
no.
right? Wow, fantastic. So so what is it about the I guess the Hollywood stuff? So we talked about like not taking risks. So um what is it about um I guess what you're doing versus like Hollywood to say like because a lot of people say like, well, if I want to start anything, that is a risk. And so how do I measure this kind of risk versus reward? Because I know like it's, the Hollywood aspect of it is that they don't want to take any risks, but how do you even start something knowing that you have to take a risk?
I think it comes down to what you want to, what you're trying to do. What's the story you really want to tell? Because, and also, what kind of sacrifice are you ready to do? Are you willing to sacrifice, some comfort, some financial comfort? Are you ready to sacrifice your integrity as an author or and a professional? So it's complicated because you have to weigh all this all in this. And it's in my case, I made a long time ago choice to I'm ready to go down a certain road, but I'm not willing to sacrifice my integrity.
Yeah, which I can imagine, and I think a lot of my audience can feel that way
And I
too.
and I refuse quite a few propositions that would had a big impact. For example, I had an opportunity a few years ago to maybe do something with a big company, but I had to sell all my rights,
Mm.
meaning I don't get to work anymore on my own project. And just for a few bucks and 50 seconds of fame.
Yeah, that's yep. No, I definitely feel you there because I'm kind of the same way. I feel where it's just like no, I've if I've built something, I want to own it. I want to have the
Mm.
opportunity to continue working on it, right? Because
But that's where things get interesting because now we have a lot of means to find an audience. We have internet, we have social media, there's YouTube, there's a lot of different channels for example, if you want to make a comic book, if you want to write a novel or make a tabletop RPG, you can use crowdfunding platforms to finance your project, and you don't have to go big. You can, in fact, it's better to start small and to expand after that. So, and that's where you build your audience.
yes, I completely agree. I think it's starting small because there's the traditional, like the long time ago, right? Like the traditional way was that you had to just basically pitch and hopefully you get a movie or TV show.
Mm.
But you're absolutely right. Nowadays, this kind of the internet, everything just says, especially with social platforms, right, that are free. Like you
Mm.
can get on these things for free. You don't have to pay a dime. You sign up and start posting content, right? So
And
it's
there's one vital aspect to all this. You better love what you're doing.
Yep. Yep. Because you said it in a different way too, that a lot of days you say it's frustrating, right? It can be.
Mm.
So if you don't love it, right, and if it's only frustrating, right, because I think what you said, like if you're out to make a buck, right, if you're, I think that's where that kind of that integrity comes in too, where it says like
Yeah,
if because you'll be passionate about it that you want to keep working on it, and if you're
exactly.
not passionate about it, this is what leads to burnout, right? It says everybody that gets burned out is because you're probably not passionate about it. It's not what you want to do. And then it gets frustrating and you're like, get to that decision point of like, why am I even doing this? And because at some point, going out there to make a buck is not the reason you're doing it, right?
No, and of course, any artist creating something wants to, make a living or at least earn something. Yeah. But yeah, you better do it first for passion, for the love of it. And then if you make, some money out of it, that's cherry on the top. But you can't make that your sole goal to become rich because you, you're go- you're gonna have a tough wake up. It's like winning
Yep.
the lottery.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, what are you going to do with it now that you have it? The because I completely agree. I worked for a company too where it was like, yeah, it just working for the dollar, right? Yeah, eventually
Mm.
it's like it started out good. It's like, okay, I'm kind of aligned with what it's going, and then like the company started going off on a different way than I thought I I wanted to go. And that of course led to burnout, to frustration. And eventually you're like, okay, I have a paycheck, but what am I even doing with this? Like I'm just so frustrated. It's like, and then you get to that point where it's like, well, at least I have the weekend. And I'm like, so 2 out of 7 days a week, I'm
Yeah,
happy. Like that's no, that doesn't make sense. So I completely echo and love that point that, love what you do because it is because we're not here to be miserable, right? So,
no,
and I don't want anybody to be just miserable working for money that then you can use to do the fun things on the very little off time that you had from what you were doing.
indeed.
It makes so much sense. Fantastic. So I wanted to circle back a little bit to the tabletop the creation in the game itself is yeah, I'd love to learn just a little bit more detail just as far as like the what you mentioned the Titan effect tabletop game because I know people will be interested. Okay, well, what's the game about even? Like so you mentioned kind of the spy kind of situation. So remind me and tell me a little bit more about kind of the Titan effect.
Well, if I want to pitch it in a very few words, I will use one of my fans wrote one day. Playing Titan Effect is like playing Metal Gear Solid, except you play the cool bosses.
Okay.
So that's basically you play some kind of super spy with psychic abilities or shape-shifting powers. You have also human-animal hybrids, and there's some kind of huge conspiracy with different factions. And the main goal is like to control human biological evolution. And so there's a lot of biopunks elements in that, also a few horror elements. So has been heavily inspired by Metal Gear Solid, of course, the Splinter Cell games, even Resident Evil, and of course a lot of manga and anime like
Mm.
Akira or Ghost in the Shell.
Oh, I love all those. That's And I'm a big fan of Metal Gear Solid too. So you say that lit me up too because that was super fun. Because being able to play a tabletop game based, I'll call it based on right, but at least loosely based on Metal Gear Solid, right? So
Very
Konami,
loosely
it's like
based. And in fact, when I started to create the when I started to write the concept of Titan Effect, I was at that time making a homebrew campaign of Metal Gear Solid 3 on another RPG called Mutant and Masterminds, where you play when you can create all kinds of superheroes. So, it was like playing Metal Gear Solid 3, but except all the characters, instead of playing snakes, they were all kind of super powered super spies, and it worked. It was very cool because we made all kind of crazy stuff and conspiracies, and so that was some kind of proto version of what Titan Effect is today. Because it's each time I used Metal Gear as a comparison, but it's not just Metal Gear Solid with the serial number filed off. It's has its own mythology and has become its own thing.
yeah, exactly. It sounds like I say when you compare it to Metal Gear Solid, but then also Splinter Cell and also manga and anime, it's like well, it's not just Metal Gear Solid, but like at least it gives a sense, right, as far as kind of where it's coming from. So I love that aspect of it. So it's kind of super spy, if you will. Oh, that's really cool. So what other kind of I guess genres or what kind of crossover I guess do you see that with either other video games or other kind of media that you can see like the kind of the spy narrative being like really powerful?
Uh, there's the manga and an anime now, Spriggan. Where
Which one? Sorry.
Spriggan.
Yeah.
It
Okay, I
has
don't know
been
if I've heard of
recently. There has been a recent new adaptation on Netflix, but it started as a manga. It was then adapted into an anime movie produced by Katsuhiro Otomo, which had a huge fan following in the 90s, in early 2000. And so it's also a big inspiration for me for Titan Effect. But
it.
I think it's the first time when I saw this cross of traditional espionage and military setting with paranormal and all kind of high sci-fi stuff.
Mm.
And it's something that, was imprinted in my mind. And later when I played Metal Gear Solid, where there was this also mix of paranormal and traditional, military thriller.
Mhm. Okay, that's wow, that is really cool. So, and I think that's the key aspect of it, right? It's not and the psychological thriller aspect of it with the spy narrative with that just sounds really cool to me because and all I gotta ask is where can people find out more? Because I think there's so much cool stuff that you're doing. I think with the Titan Effect as the tabletop itself, as well as other medias, which I really hope that that kind of branches out and becomes these does become like a show at some point because that sounds like it'd be really cool. Uh,
Oh,
but it,
thanks.
but yeah, so I'd love to know more. I think our audience would love to know more. Like, tell us a little bit more about, I guess, where we can find Titan Effect and maybe even how to connect with you.
Mm. Well, they can find everything they want to know about Titan Effect on the main website, titaneffect.com. There's also a link to the store where you can buy the tabletop RPG on the platform called Drive-Through RPG. I'm also present on Facebook. There's also a Facebook page for Titan Effect, so Titan Effect on Facebook. I'm also very active on Blue Sky. So that's mainly where you can find me and learn more also about Titan Effect.
Fantastic. That's so good because I know I'm very interested in kind of the spy world, kind of like I said, Metal Gear Solid. Definitely a very fun game for me. So I'm like, okay, that's really cool. So guys, definitely check out Titan Effect on all the different social. We'll have the links for you guys down in the description to definitely check that out. And one other thing I wanted to ask about is what you mentioned as far as the crowdfunding thing. Is that
Yes.
something that you've done for Titan Effect as far as the role play or any of the other aspects of it?
Yes, that's what I did for the first edition. Because I used to I started with a few illustrations and a few comic book pages when I was working on the graphic novel project. And to have additional arts, I made a Kickstarter campaign. That was in 2017. And since then, I released the second edition of the game a few years ago, and I am working on a new one. The difference is that the two first edition were powered by another RPG system called Savage Worlds, where you need to have in order to play Titan Effect, you need to have the Savage Worlds rule book and another source book. But now I'm working on another version that's gonna be standalone called Titan FX Zero. And there's already a free quick start people can download for free on Drive-Thru RPG or pay whatever they want if they want to leave a tip. It's 95 pages of material which you can even create your own character. There's a short adventure. Even in fact, there's two short adventures. So everything, to start playing this new version, and so hopefully early to 2026, there's going to be a crowdfunding campaign for Titan FX Zero.
There you go. So guys, look forward to that. That'll be coming out soon. So Christian, definitely hit me up, of course, when that drops too, because I'd love
I
to
will.
promote that for you too, because that sounds really cool. Fantastic. So Christian, before we go, anything else that you think we've missed that people need to know about either Titan Effect or about just kind of understanding tabletop game creation?
Um, no, they can simply reach out, and I'm very friendly, so anyone can send me a message. I'm always happy to answer and to help, even if someone wants any advice on how to create a tabletop RPG or what what I think is what kind of RPGs I think are great.
Awesome, fantastic. So guys, definitely check out Christian Nommay and Titan Effect, and definitely check out the links in the description because very cool what he's doing. I love the idea of kind of a tabletop Metal Gear Solid, but playing as the bosses sounds hilarious and fun. So much fun, and I wonder if it lines up, but we'll add one final question before we go, in which of course I ask to everyone that comes on this show, and that is of course what Christian is your favorite video game?
That's that's a cruel question for me. It's like asking what who's my favorite children. But uh, I'll go and say Metal Gear Solid.
I thought it might
Prob
be, but
Probably one of the. In fact, it's very tied with Deus Ex, the first Deus Ex video
ah,
game.
Deus Ex. Okay, yep.
Also, another huge influence, and for me, that's two of the most amazing games ever made for different
Guys,
reasons.
yeah, guys, if you haven't played Metal Gear Solid, especially or Deus Ex, both awesome games. I played both of those, and so I see it. That's awesome. Gosh, so Christian, this has been so good. Thank you so much, and thank you for being on the
My
show
pleasure.
and sharing Titan Effect with all of us. So thank you. And any other final words before we go?
Well, it was great to chat with you and ask all the questions.
Very good. No, thank you very much. And I always save the hardest question for last. So sorry about that. Good. Well, guys, so Christian, thank you for being here. And guys, thank you so much for watching. Thank you so
Thanks.
much for listening. And remember, stay awesome. And I'll see you in the next one.